so glad you joined me to make this Harry Potter funness. It's going to be a long video, so settle in and relax, grab a nice cup of tea or coffee, and let's get started. So see here, I went ahead and just stamped a row of candles, stamped a row of the silhouette, and I'm just going to go in here and color all these candles white. You want to kind of be careful here that you don't go over the black lines because it'll really soften it and you'll lose those edges. So see, you kind of want to just go around the black line. Don't worry about being really specific with it. It's in the big scheme of the entire project, it's not going to matter that much, okay? So don't get stressed out on the details. We're going to add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange to the candle. See there, you've got a nice, cute, completed candle. But what I want to do is I want to tie the color together. So I'm just going to go in just to add some white highlights on the side of the castles. Not a big detail, but when you put it all together, it's nice to tie those two elements together. Now we're going to get started on that adorable owl. He's so stinking cute with his little scarf. I absolutely love him. So here again, same thing. When we go in here with the white, we want to make sure our pencil is really sharp because when you go over those black elements, we lose our outline. So you just want to color in between and around. And I'm just going to add white to basically the whole area. And the reason why is because he's so tiny that if we did a lot of intricate shading, things like that, it's kind of hard to get in there and do those details when he's so small. And I have a lot of people that they get stressed out when they're not coloring the owl perfectly, but just remember, he's a tiny part of a very large picture. So when he's completed and we put him all together with the whole package, he's really just going to pop and look cute, and nobody's going to be looking at those tiny details. So I'm going to add a little bit of gray here above his nose and just make a couple little gray marks over the black line so that it kind of looks like he's got a different couple of colors in there. But like I said, don't go, too extravagant on this. He's too tiny for extravagant. So we're going to do the same thing here. But what I'm going to do differently is I'm going to press harder on the outside edges of his body. And I'm going to press a little bit harder underneath his scarf. But then what I'm going to do is when I color in the body, I'm going to press really lightly so we look as though we faded and shaded the coloring in. And then I'm going to go back, add a little bit of gray on the sides for some depth, and add just a few, little gray touches in there just to make him pop a little bit. But you want to keep in mind that wing line, okay, on the edges. So we want to keep that black line in between his body and his wing. So when I go in and place that color, I'm going to be very mindful of where I'm putting it so I don't color completely over it. I'm just going to slightly go over that gray because I felt like I pressed maybe a little too hard with the gray. And if you find that to be true, just go ahead and use your white pencil over it and you'll soften the look of it. So there's the gray I'm adding in, and you can tell, I just barely put it in there because you don't want to lose that black line. That part's really important. His beak and his feet are so tiny that it's really hard to shade anything. So just do him a solid orange or yellow. And of course, I'm going to do his little Gryffindor scarf, even though, hello, I'm Slytherin house. He should be Slytherin. But I'm coloring Harry, so I figure, he should match Harry's house. So we're going to do Gryffindor colors. And I'm just going to do a solid red and a solid kind of mustard yellow. And that's going to be it to complete our owl. Like I said, he doesn't need a whole lot of shading. I don't want you to stress about this part because when he gets on his little portion of the treat box, it really just pops, and you don't have to worry about close details and shading. See, look, he's adorable. He's so cute. But one thing that does drive me nuts when you stamp on craft is the eyes are so pale, and I really can't stand that. I really like the eyes to pop. So I'm just going to take my fine tip black marker here and go over the eyes and just try, and stay within the stamped area as much as possible. Sometimes I go over, but, don't stress. Just make them a little bit bigger if you mess it up. And then you got to have that little white highlight in there because that really kind of pops and make the eyes come alive. Now, see, doesn't that look better? And like I said before, once you put the element with the project, it comes together and it looks adorable, and nobody's stressing over whether or not you messed up on a scarf or a foot. All right, so let's get started on Harry. We're going to color similar in what we did with the owl. There's just going to be a few differences, and we'll go over those. So for when it comes to, he's wearing a dark robe, he's wearing a dark shirt, and he's wearing a dark pant. What I like to do is add in a couple different colors of like charcoal gray and also some navy blue. So at least you have some breakup in the color, and it doesn't just like a solid blob of a black mess. So here I'm using like a really deep navy blue. And then when I go in to add some like depth, I'll add just a tiny bit of black around the edges. And that's really all you need to do here. Because again, his head is so large that his head's really going to be the focus. And I realize, having done the project and looking back now at these pictures, that I forgot his scar. So technically he just looks like a regular dude because he's not hairy without the scar, am I right? So I will go back in and add that in later. So here I am using like the charcoal gray on the pant, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of light gray on top of it, just so we have some different colors in there and you can see the difference between the top of his pants and the sides of his pants. And like I said, don't stress about making this like super highlighted and shaded and all that. Just put a little bit of a different color in there so you can tell the difference between his pants and his jacket. That's really all that's important here. So see, you can tell there's a little bit of light and shadow there, and you can tell there's black on the sides of his pants, and there's a slight difference in color with his jacket because it's done in the navy blues. So I'm just going to add gray really lightly in there, and then I'm going to come back in and just do the edges with a little bit deeper gray. You want to be sure to go in and add those darker lines too, just so you can see the difference in his outfit, and that way things will pop. I can already tell Harry Potter stamps are going to be a thing with me, like my Halloween stamps. I'm like never going to have enough Harry Potter stamps. All right, so let's get started on his face. I don't have a ton of shades for his face, so I thought instead of going out and getting them, I would use what I have to showcase, for some people, they don't have 500 pencils. They have like 12 or 24. So here I have like a really kind of dark orange color, and I'm just going to go around the entire outside of his face, and I'm going to take my really light peach, which comes across as almost white on craft paper, and I'm going to fill that in towards the center of his face, which is where more of the highlight would be. And I'm just going to do it really lightly because you can go over that again with your darker orange color. And just, you want to think of this as in layers. So you're just barely coloring, and it'll feel like you're not adding a ton of color, but you really are. So I'm going to go over his face again with the dark color, and that's going on top of the white, so it'll be a little bit lighter. Then I'm going to go over it one more time with the lighter shade, and look what happens. It winds up looking like skin color, and you don't need, a ton of pencils. Of course, I have to do my little black eyes because they pop, and they're so adorable when they pop. And you got to have the white highlight too. That's very important. But what I did is I went around and did his glasses too, because I felt like those were an important element, and his glasses needed to pop too. So there you have a cute little face. So for the hair, I'm just going to lay down some medium brown here, and then I'm going to take my darker brown, and I'm just going to draw really kind of jagged hairlines. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just draw some jagged lines in there, make them really dark, push really hard, and make sure the color is really saturated, because then what we're going to do is take that light brown again, and we're just going to color over the entire thing and blend it together. And because you press so hard with that dark brown right there, when you go over it with the light brown, those lines are still going to pop through. And that's what you want. You want just a little bit of texture in that hair. I'm going to go ahead and cut him out and place him in the box. I did Dobby the same coloring way that we just did Harry. And wouldn't that be so cute to add a fun pair of Harry Potter themed socks in that little bag? Just think of Dobby giving away free socks. Okay, now comes my absolute favorite part. We get to decorate the wand. We're going to use hot glue, and you can make any design you want here. I'm just going to do it in a really simple way. So I'm going to start by putting a ring around the top, and then I'm going to go into like the decorative elements. And you can be as elaborate as you want, but I'm going to show you how to do it in my way, which is making it look like a total and complete hot mess. And then when it's finished, it looks really cool. So let's start with the hot mess part. I'm going to make a circle, and then I'm just going to let the strings kind of do whatever they want. I'm going to try and make kind of a cross pattern and just have it go all over. And like I said, hot mess, right? But when it's done, it looks really cool, I promise. So now I'm going to do the bottom portion, which is like your handle. And you want to start by doing this by putting that ring around the bottom. And then you're going to start to slowly build up the glue on the paper portion. Okay, you want to build on the paper first and make kind of a solid base. And once that's established, then you're going to fill in the back end of it and make like a big ball of glue. But you need that first portion on the paper to stabilize it. Now the key to this, guys, is to make that little ball at the end that once it's on there, you want to just keep turning it until it's dry. And that only takes a couple minutes, but if you do this, the glue won't lean to one side or the other. It'll stay round. Now let that completely dry. And once that's dry, we're going to start painting. You're going to need brown acrylic and black acrylic paint. And I have to share with you my favorite art tip is, you know those old phone books you don't know what to do with? Well, you take one, you open it up, and that's where you squeeze your paint into, and that's where you pull your paint from. And when you're done, you just close up the book, the paint pages dry together, and then you can just use the next 2 pages. It's fantastic. It's a great palette to work from, and I never know what to do with them, so I like using it for that. So we're going to take the brown paint, no water, just dry brush it in, and you're going to really saturate this. And you're going to see here, like I'm taking my time and really layering it on. That's how dark we want it, guys. And you complete the whole wand that way, let it dry. And then I'm going to come back in with black. Now you're going to put black on, but you're going to rub it off. And the reason why is because we want to get in the cracks to give it more depth, okay? So just put it in there and just wipe it off. You don't want a ton of black, just a little bit to add a little bit of different color and a little bit of depth. And then once that's completely dry, you're going to close up your phone book, just like I said. Those pages are going to dry together, and then you're going to have another palette for another day. Now let that completely dry for our next step. Can I just take a moment to say, my mother, I bet you $5 is going to say something about the quality of my hands and how dirty they are. But people, this is how I work. I'm dirty all the time. So I'm going to take this gold kind of luster cream, and I'm going to rub it over the glue parts to turn them gold. But you can see how immediately my hot mess of glue globs that are on there that I talked about, they're like popping. I mean, isn't that amazing how you can take something that just looks awful when you're putting the glue on, and I don't know about you, but I can't make a straight line to save my life. And look how cool it looks. It looks fantastic. It looks like these intricate kind of gold wand details that started out looking horrible, but now they look fantastic. Look at that. It just completely pops. I love that. It doesn't look a hot mess anymore. It just looks really cool. Now, I can only imagine if you can do a decorative line with glue, it'll probably look even more amazing. But this is my version. I know this video is long, but I hope you guys really enjoyed coming along with the journey with me, making all these fun things, and I hope you try it. I hope if it's not Harry Potter, maybe you try and make your own fun little party pack. Have a dinner party, have some friends over. It's a great excuse to craft. Thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to check out my other sites below, and I'll see you next time.